Okay, what I'm doing is installing KDE Neon for the first time, bare metal. It's probably a bad idea to make a video the first time I install something that I've never done before. But here it goes. So, I already have Linux installed on this, and there should be a grub. Nope, it loaded right into this. So, I have the BIOS set up so that the disk will be what it boots from by default, and that's not normal, but I forgot to change it around to show the normal thing. You would just go into BIOS, and when you start it up, and just change it to the boot order. So this is in English, so, and not Greek, so English. And you can do various things apparently. You could test the RAM. You could boot from the hard drive, what you already have installed, or you could try it out, live CD. But I'm just going to install it because sometimes I've had trouble with the Ubuntu doing the live CD installation. So let's see what it does. I see a cursor. Okay, Nouveau, that's the open source driver for this. Okay. This video's in July of 2017. Apparently that's the recent version, or the version of Neon right now. I downloaded the July 2017 version of KDE Neon. So, often it's going to think about things, you might say. It's going to process the data from the disk if you want to be more technical. I like to call it thinking about things. It's thinking. And it's going to take longer than usual. It's going to take longer to operate the system off of a disk than it would if it was installed directly to the hard drive. So just because it might be slow on the disk or on the CD drive doesn't mean it'll be that slow when you have it installed on the hard drive. So you just ignore that login thing. If it's a good disk, and wait for it to get a graphical user screen. Still waiting. This computer isn't the fastest computer. It's several years old. I think it's like a 2.4 gigahertz AMD dual core with 6 gigabytes RAM. There we go. It's something graphical. I normally don't like the backgrounds on KDE, but not everybody's the same. So, let's see, English, okay. Or if you use a different language, there's quite a few. Make sure English is still involved and still selected, and then continue. I usually don't like to connect to a Wi-Fi network because it makes the installation longer, and I could just connect to the network after the installation. But sometimes it's a good idea just to make sure that you can. And we know that because sometimes drivers have issues. So this time we'll do that. We'll select that. That's the network we want to use. And put in the password down here. Connect. And it has to set up everything with the router connected. Oh yay, we have success. Okay, now we can continue. I don't want to download updates because it's going to make the installation longer. But I don't mind proprietary stuff if it makes it work better. In some cases, I'm not completely open source, like I'll use Steam, things like that, proprietary drivers, but in MP3s, that's important. If you want to listen to MP3s, you have to have that clicked. So, what's it going to do next? The disk setup. And here, it will give us the options about which partition, if there are any partitions. And I know there's some partitions on this computer. If there weren't any partitions, it would guide you through either installing on the entire hard drive, or if you want to dual boot with Windows, for example, it'll tell you which one is Windows and help you resize it so that you can have two partitions and choose at the beginning which one you want to boot from when you turn on the computer. Still thinking. Let's look at this ugly screen. Cool. Okay. Well, looks like I'm going to have to edit out this blank spot right here because it's thinking. And I'm running out of things to talk about at this point. Okay, I'm back. It was taking a while, and I decided to change the batteries on the camera. And while I was changing it, this came up. So, it gives you options. What it's suggesting is this. I have Debian 9, Debian 8, and it wants me to give it a tiny little space right here of 247 gigabytes. That's not too bad, but I think I'll put it here, and so I'm going to have to do something different. Normally, if it's the first time, you might want to just make sure you're not losing your operating system, and in this case I won't be losing any operating systems, or if you want to use the entire disk, you could do that. But I think I'll do manual. And let's see what it says. Okay, these are what I have, and that shows me SDA 5 is that. I checked. I forgot already which one's 5 and which one's 6. So I'll go back. People with better memories than me won't have to go through extra steps like this. Doesn't say either, but it does tell me the size. So Debian 8 is a 695 gigabyte. So look for the 695 partition. That's this one, and I want to wipe it out. So I'm going to delete this. Now there's nothing there. So this is asking what kind of partition. Just leave that default. I forgot what the difference is anyway, so I'll just do the logical. And partition size, beginning of the space, sure. ext4, sure, that's just different file systems like FAT or NTFS. That's a Windows, you don't want that. I'm fine with the ext4. And then you have to tell it a mount point. That's fine. Just the slash, because that's telling you to mount the partition at the bottom of the file directories, if you might call it, or at the root. Well, basically, just remember, do the slash instead of this other stuff, or you might have trouble. Okay. And it's automatically going to format it. And is there anything else I need to do? Looks like I have it all. Okay. And install now. And it's giving me a warning. Make sure this is what I want. Partition 6 is going to be the swap space, which nowadays isn't as important as it used to be when there's less RAM. And this is the partition 5, the green right here. That's going, oh, I have it backwards. I should have read it. Partition 5 is swap, partition 6 is the green. Sorry. Okay. And while it's setting things up, it's telling you what it's doing at the moment. I will give the time zone. It wants Indiana time. What's up with that? Why not just Central? I'm in Central time zone. Yes, right there. Okay. And then continue. It's a good idea to check this, but I do this all the time because I switch distros all the time, and I know this keyboard is set up. If you're not sure, test things. And that's not what I want. Doesn't give you the option of testing it anymore. That's too bad. Used to test things, but never mind. This is just the default for the United States, and that's what I have. And then I'll put my name, pick a password. I use passwords for different things, and I'm going to call this, because I have multiple computers on the network, I will call this as an E-machine. It's a slim model, and it's KDE Neon. That way I know when I'm looking over the list of computers on my network, I know which one's which. Yeah, I want a password login. I don't want to log in automatically. Encrypting the home folder. That is good if you're just going to do, if you have secret stuff, like finances, that kind of stuff, documents that you don't want people to look at. But the problem with it is that, or at least the problem I've had, is that if you encrypt it, and then you try to install a proprietary driver, next time you boot up, you might have problems. So I want to encrypt it. And it says only finish copying files, 77%. Gives you various things. Click on fancy. Gives you stuff to look at while it's installing. And I'm probably going to have to edit this part out because it's taking a while. Okay, so the installation is complete. Hopefully you could see it through this camera. I have the camera on a stand and kind of off to the side, as you could tell. Sorry about that, but I'm not set up for a better shot of this. And so the next step after it's installed everything is to Restart now. Let's see what happens. It's probably going to tell me to take the disk out. Oh, there it is. See? I can tell the future sometimes. Okay, the disk is out. Press enter. And waiting for it to restart. Now this is the what they call a grub, and it's a bit different than what I'm used to. So I could do new Linux, which is probably the KDE, or the memory test, or the Debian 9, which is the other one. I'm going to try out new Linux, make sure it works. There we go. Everything seems to work. There's the Activity Manager, or Application Launcher, that's what they call it now. And you can do favorites, and we could talk about how to deal with stuff in another video. Maybe. Thank you for watching. Bye.